Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's Thursday. Myself and Dazzle are back on your screens. It's not Thursday Tier Talk, but we have a great show lined up for you as always. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, and drop a like on the video. Really appreciate all the support and stuff like that. Hope you enjoyed the Pro Wrestling Weekly show last night with Russ. Was really, really good. And we had a great show on Monday with Marky as well. Just to let you know as well, next Monday, Browner's going to be back on the show as well, giving an update on Legends 11. Big game coming up against Letterkenny, and also update on players coming over for the big one in Ballyfermot as well. So keep your Monday evening open for that. Always
The
great stories.
big one in Ballier.
Big one in Ballier. Yeah, I think we might head to that, Darren. Let's see. We might go to that one. That might be worth one worth going to.
What date's it?
Let's see what happens. I don't have the date to hand. I think it's it's the first week in August anyway.
Right.
So back end of that or something like that. But I'll get an update on Monday anyway, and we'll see how it goes. Right, before we start, let's chat to our legends in the chat, of course. Finley's Football Fun, 5 days early. 5 days early, this guy dropping into the chat soon as we put it up. Hope you're joining us tonight now that we're live. Daz is in. What's the crack, Niall and Dazzler? All
hey,
good?
Daz. Good to have you again, Daz.
And Acers is in. WWE and Manchester City partnership. I haven't heard anything about that, so if you can enlighten us on that. But we do have a great show tonight. And we're going to be doing a review of the Premier League kits, the ones that have released, and some of the kind of leaked ones at the moment. We are missing some. I did pick out a selection of Euro kits as well, because the Euros is on. We're going to be going through
very, very tasty Euro kits.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're also going to be going through the whole round of 16 and giving our picks. And we're going to be talking about a famous, wealthy American man who wants to invest in West Ham. Legend ex-basketball player Shaq O'Neal. Going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about changes coming at Man United under Eric Ten Hag, potentially Ruud van Nistelrooy going in there, plus the Go Eagles manager might be coming on board as well. Rene Hack, I think is his name. We'll get Darren's thoughts on that as well. We're going to be talking about James McLean seems to have been ruffling a few feathers in relation to his comments on his punditry, but Eamon Dunphy is not too impressed, which is kind of interesting because kind of the narrative is very similar from both guys in the past and stuff like that. And also, we'll have a chat about that.
That'll be really interesting because actually, if I'm honest, I hate both of them equally. So to have to side with one of them over the other will be difficult. But listen, that's what we've got to do on this show. Well, that's what we've got to do.
I kind of felt this kind of pot kettle black kind of thing, to be honest. You know what I mean? So, but let's see what happens anyway.
Hell, Eamon might have found his morals in his youth, has he?
Absolutely. Baz also in the comments. Big up, Baz. Good to see you, my friend.
Captain Caramel. We love you, Baz.
We love you, brother. He'll have to change his YouTube now to Captain Caramel. That's what it'll have
100%.
to be.
100%.
Why is Salah going to the Olympics? I'll tell you why. Because one, he's extremely passionate about his country. And
two, it might be his only chance of winning the trophy next season.
I wouldn't be too sure about that now. I wouldn't be too sure about that, but we shall see.
Is he going to the Olympics or the Special Olympics? Which one?
It's definitely the Olympics. Definitely.
Right, okay.
There's a good few of them going, apparently, from the Premier League. Must take a look at that and see who's confirmed, who's going, and what the.
I'm sure that's something we can look at over the coming weeks.
We could indeed. WWE has Manchester City t-shirts like Pep Guardiola, Final Boss t-shirt, and City Head of the Table and Best in the World t-shirt. WWE has Manchester City t-shirts.
I'm sure he means Manchester City have shirts made like the WWE ones. I'm sure that's what he means.
I'd imagine that's
has a picture of Pep and says the Final Boss and all of that stuff and yeah.
But I haven't seen anything in relation to a partnership.
I'll tell you what it definitely doesn't say. It definitely doesn't say Manchester City best supported team in the world. Definitely doesn't say that now.
Absolutely. Listen, before we start the show, we have to we lost a legend of Gaelic games this week. Micheál O'Murhertig passed away sadly at the age of 93. He was the voice of the GAA, no doubt.
Yeah.
And anyone who's followed GAA would know very much so his dulcet tones in terms of his commentary, both on radio and on our screens. An absolute legend of the GAA game, who will be sadly missed and fondly remembered. An absolute legend. So rest in peace, Niall and Darren. And yeah, our
Just
thoughts, prayers, and
a
condolences go to his family and the wider
phenomenal
GAA
voice.
community.
Like as good as his commentary was on the GAA, I don't know if you saw it. He did an ad, I think it was for Super Value or for Centra. And it was on how to make the perfect sandwich. Have you seen this ad?
No. I probably have, but I probably just didn't pick up on it.
He talks about how to make the perfect sandwich. And he goes through the bread and the crisp lettuce, and he does the whole. It's kind of like, you know, the way Marks and Spencer's do them kind of ASMR ads where they, you know, the delicious taste of that. But he does one of these, and it's just you're listening to it, and you're like, this is an ad for a sandwich, and I'm like this.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I don't even like tomatoes or lettuce, but I'm into it, Michal. Keep going, pal, will you? He's just what a storyteller. You know, he really, really, really was an amazing man and character and stuff like that. And as you said, be very sadly missed.
Yeah, absolutely. Daz is saying he has a horse for us for Saturday. Appreciate that, Daz. We've been appreciating some of those tips. Keep them going.
We got a nice double out of it one of the days, didn't we?
We did, absolutely.
I also didn't get one of the days, Daz.
Yeah, we did. I also didn't get a slide ready for tonight as well, but we also lost Tommy Gorman from RTE as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Newscaster, journalist and all, correspondent for the North and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So RIP Tommy Gorman as well.
Absolutely.
So there you go. So we shall start. Let's start with the kits.
Yeah. So put a smile on my face now, will you?
I broke them into slides so you could see them a little bit better. I didn't butcher them all onto the one slide this time, so you could see it. So first up, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, Crystal Palace, of course, as always, knocking it out of the park.
Unbelievable.
And Tottenham. Thoughts?
Now, again, you know I'm not the kind of guy to go in on a team just for the sake of it. But the Liverpool kit is dreadful.
The colour is very strange.
The whole thing is dreadful. The pinstripe, all of it. It's poor. It's really poor. I don't know what they were thinking behind it. Like, and if you look at then, obviously Palace underneath it. Like, Palace is just, it's a work of fucking art. It really is. It's just beautiful. I think the Spurs jersey is quite nice. I think that looks well. I think with the break up on the sleeves and stuff, I think is nice. I think the City, you know, it's kind of similar to what they've had over the last few years. The Chelsea one is absolutely appalling. It's horrific. It really is dreadful. Now, I know as a United fan, people will be thinking he's going in on Chelsea and Liverpool. I'm not. They just don't look good at all. You know, I think Palace and Spurs look good, and I think the City one will get a pass. You know what I mean? But yeah,
the Liverpool is a tip that to throw back to the '84 one, as far as I know, isn't it? I think it's the '84 one.
It's just not. Like, it's just such a poor looking kit for me. I got to be honest. I don't know how do you feel about it as a Liverpool fan?
I don't mind the pinstriping. I actually like the pinstriping because it's kind of a throwback. I'm not sold on the collar. The collar to me looks a little bit weird because traditionally I would have liked.
Do you know talking 6 out of 10?
Yeah, probably maybe 7. The thing about it is, I think this is Nike's last kit. Is next season we're going back to Adidas, as far as I know from what I heard. So this is a kind of like last shot out the door kind of thing, you know what I mean? And I think, in fairness, the Nike kits so far have been quite disappointing, with the exception of the cream polo one I liked with the green and the orange was a really nice kit.
I thought generally a lot of the away kits look better than the home ones.
Yeah, the kind of black with the grey with the kind of green going through it, or the sage or whatever it is. Some of those are kind of nice as well. If it's the home
kit, you've got to kind of stick to that red colour, and it can be difficult when it's been done 100 times. You know, and I get that completely. So that's why you see these throwbacks to '84 and things like this. But But I do think, like, sometimes if it's not broke, don't try and fix it. You know what I
Now,
mean?
funny enough, I'll get you a picture, right? A guy turned around and he did a mock-up of the kit you see there, but he did it with Adidas. And the difference with Adidas is just poles apart. Poles
Yeah.
apart. You
Yeah.
wouldn't believe the difference that the stripes down the sleeves and all make to this kit. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
because they break it up a little bit and stuff.
He
And
put it up on Twitter. I'll dig it out for you and I'll send it on to you. But
yeah.
it's totally different gravy. Yeah, I think the likes of the City one and the Spurs one, and we've seen this with a number of kits this coming into the season. They've just gone normal, traditional kind of no
Yeah.
bells and whistles, just kind of it is what it is kind of thing, and that's
Absolutely.
not a bad thing either, you know.
It's simplicity at its finest, isn't it?
Yeah, and like if traditionally that's your kind of kit and stuff like that, it's all good, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
Next up, then we have Aston Villa, we have Everton, Bournemouth, United, Wolves, and Brentford.
I'm not a huge fan of any of those, if I'm honest. Like, I know the Villa is a very similar kit to the new Arsenal home one. And actually the new Arsenal home one I quite like. I think that looks well. I think it's very clean with the red and with the white and stuff, and obviously the cannon. I think it looks really, really well. I'm sure you have that on a slide in a minute. But the Villa one, I'm just not sold on it yet. I think the Everton again is okay. It's certainly not offensive, but it's not like, oh wow, look at that. I think Bournemouth probably looks one of the better kits there for me. I like the clean lines and stuff like that. It's nice and sharp. I don't like the Brentford one. I didn't like last season's. I don't like this season's. It's very similar to last season's. It's very similar. With the red and white candy stripes, but then with the fade into black and stuff like that, and not a massive fan. Wolves, I think it's hard to have a great jersey when that's the colour of it. You know? And United, I actually think the home one is probably the worst of them. I think the second and the third kits that have been, especially the second kit, the blue one, looks phenomenal. And the third kit with the Adidas Originals badge on it also looks really, really well. But the home one, again, I'm not a massive fan of.
Yeah, throwback to the 84. Yeah, absolutely. And Arsenal Lynx Africa away kit. Yeah, seen that one. Yeah, that's mad. We will do the away ones as well, but we don't want to take up the whole show on kits. City away 99 playoffs final kit. Yeah, the Wolves one's an interesting one because it's the kid is Sudo, which are new. They're breaking in. They're a company. I think they're based in Manchester actually. And this is their first kind of move into these kits and stuff like that. And actually, when you look at the actual Wolves jersey, there's kind of depth to it in the material and stuff like that. It's not flat. So it looks very, very different. So it's their first kind of move into doing kits. So it should be very interesting as well. And with the Everton one's an interesting one as well, because I think isn't that the new Castori one? Because I think they were originally with Hummel. And
that's right, yeah, they were.
They just finished up with Hummel and they've gone to Castori. So I thought maybe they might have pushed it out a little bit and done a little bit more. But again, the ones you see here with the white panels at the back tend to be the kind of leaked ones. They're not the confirmed ones. There's still a lot to be confirmed and stuff like that. So the ones you see with players are the ones that are confirmed. And then next up, then we have, I think it's Leicester in the top.
Leicester, yeah.
Yeah, which to me looks more like a train on top than it does like the.
Well, it's missing the sponsor.
Missing the sponsor, obviously. Yeah,
it's missing the sponsor. Yeah.
Yeah, Newcastle one is a nice one. I like the way they blended the sleeve up through the panel underneath the armpit.
Yeah, something they've done in the past. I think the Newcastle one looks quite well, but I got to be honest. For me, at the minute, like the Arsenal one is right up there. I think it's phenomenal. The red with the white sleeves and the navy stripes is just such a set off. I think it looks great. I really, really think it looks well.
It's the way the white side panel flows up into it as well, isn't it?
It's beautiful. Look at the cannon and stuff like that, the simplicity on the badge. And obviously they're going to go in with some sort of a white and navy short and a white and navy sock with maybe a stripe on it. It's going to look really, really well, the Arsenal one. I got to say, I'm a huge fan. I think the Leicester one, as we say, other than, it's not a bad jersey. I think when you're missing the sponsor, it'll always throw people a little bit, and then you've the Newcastle one, which again I think it's limiting what you can do with black and white stripes, but I think that flows quite well for me. It looks quite well,
Yeah, I think it's, in the past you haven't had the white maybe continued up. So it kind of looks like it was cut off and a little bit weird. But that one still looks like
it does. It looks like it flows really, really nicely, which I think is important.
And let's be honest, you could put a towel on Isaac and it's going to look the business as well. He just looks the part, doesn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's killed, isn't he?
Arsenal throwback 1992 home, 90 to 92 home kit, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice when they do that, and plain and simplistic and stuff like that. Let's have a quick look. So far, what are we thinking? Arsenal and Palace so far?
Arsenal and Palace for me, yeah, absolutely.
So when we get more release, we'll go through them as well, and we will have a look at second kits and third kits, and we'll round it out. We always round it out with the goalkeeper ones as well, because they always are really, really tasty.
There's always a couple of special ones in there.
Euros. Yeah, absolutely. What's your thought on the Euro one so far? The Portugal one for me is beautiful, and I did like that German. Was it the German away one the other night?
Yeah,
the pink blending into the purple or the blue or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's
really,
right.
Really, really nice.
Yeah, you're actually there's a Portuguese one which we got for Brody, and it's their away kit, and it's a creamy color with a blue line in it, and it's absolutely phenomenal. I think the Dutch one, I had the Dutch one in my hand the other day, and the Dutch one is identical to the Inter Milan third kit from last season, which was orange with the Paramount across the front of it. It's identical, stripe for stripe. I think the Italian one is, again, it's solid. I don't think there's a whole lot wrong with it. England's is fine. I don't like the Belgian. I think it's awful looking. I think it's dreadful looking. I really do. Really poor. And I think France looks the business. I think the French kits, all of them, look really, really well. I think Nike have done a good job with that, because generally they haven't done a great job with stuff. But with the French kit and with the Portuguese kits, they've done a sterling job here. From my
what do you make with France with the change of the emblem being coloured in?
I like it.
Strange, doesn't it?
I think it takes a little bit of getting used to, but I do like it. I do like it, It's not unfamiliar to somebody who, say, watches a bit of rugby, because it looks like that in the rugby. It's very rugby-esque,
Yeah. I just find you have the blue jersey and there's a little bit of white and stuff like that. And then you have the yellow bird stuck on it kind of thing. And it just throws you a little bit. Yeah. Throws you a little bit and stuff like that. It's like a kind of like, it nearly looks like they're sponsored by a chicken crowd or something.
I think it's mad though that, if we look at the Premier League, a lot of the jerseys we weren't huge fans of were the Nike ones, the Liverpools and the Chelseas and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And we were maybe a fan of some of the Adidas stuff. Whereas when it comes to the Euros, it looks like it's flip-flopped. We were bigger fans of the Nike, obviously the Portugal, the French, and even the English, especially the English second jersey. If you saw the away jersey, the England away jersey is a really nice jersey. And like, it's funny, isn't it? Because it's the same people working on the designs. They were just able to hit, obviously, the international ones, and they weren't able to hit the league ones. It's funny.
France with a massive cock on the front of the jersey makes sense.
Yeah.
No disagreement. Yeah, no, it's interesting and stuff like that and all, so we like looking at the kits. France home kit is Michel Platini throwback.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, Trouble's in the house. Yup, the lads looking great as usual, lads. What's your favourite Ireland jersey of all time?
1990 Opal, the white V.
Yes.
It's no contest for me. Although, was a big fan of the purple, or not the purple one, the orange one. Do you remember the orange one, the orange and black kit? And we played away. I think we won 3-2 away in Macedonia with it.
Didn't like it.
Did you not?
No.
The orange with the black shorts and the orange socks. I fucking loved it.
No. Can't be wearing orange on a Republic of Ireland jersey.
Oh, look great, man.
That don't work for me. There you go. Tottenham copied France crest. Yeah, absolutely. Just not their
Success.
success, unfortunately. Right,
Yeah.
let's talk Euros. It's been a couple of weeks. You weren't on last week, so
No,
there's a bit of catching up to do, obviously, and
I
stuff like
was
that.
I was otherwise engaged now.
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
having a bit of a bop, you know.
There you go. Um, uh, Mark's in Defo home Italian 90 and
Yeah,
away USA 94. Yeah, up
yeah,
there, absolutely.
yeah.
And Daz, big up Mark. I put a horse in the chat for Saturday. Scroll back up through. We'll share it
Newcastle
anyway.
Yoffie, is that what he called it?
Let's go right up there.
Looks like
Newcastle
a
Zoffy. Zoffy.
Zoffy.
There you go. Newcastle Zoffy. Yeah, give us before we get into the round of 16. Give us your thoughts on the tournament so far. It's kind of been a little bit lackluster, is it? The group stages can
The
be
the
like that as
format's
well.
making it a disaster. There's
Yeah.
no way a third place team in a group should be able to limp through to a last round of 16. And that's what's happening.
Mm.
And because of that, teams aren't going out to win games of football. They're going out to not be beaten. Like, so I got to be honest, I think it's been a massive flop in terms of, the quality of the games and stuff like that. And the levels of excitement and stuff like that. Jesus Christ.
We were talking to Baz about this the other day. Mark was in the shop when Baz was there. And we said, you drop in, you make a comment, and then you go off and play PlayStation. We are winding them up. So funny.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of how the tournament's been going so far. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Really, really, I'm not a fan. I
What
think if
about
you can go through a group stage
yeah.
with 3 draws, not win a game, and all of a sudden find yourself 4 games from winning the Euros, there's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
It's broken. It's broken.
What
It's the first time we've had this format, and already you can see it's fucking broken. But that's UEFA for you.
Yeah, we've gone through a season where we've watched some fantastic players. We've admired some fantastic players, especially in the Champions League and stuff like that. A lot of these players have rocked up to this tournament and they've looked very average, haven't they?
Yeah. They have. I think there's a lot of teams, and again, I won't harp on about it, but there's a lot of guys look very fucking tired. Be it from 50-game seasons, and the travel and everything that goes along with it. There's a lot of players there that look very, very tired. There really, really is. I don't think it's lending itself to an exciting tournament. I think they've really dropped the ball on this now. There's 2 ways of looking at this. You can look at this from a point of view of UEFA trying to grow the game, so to speak. And if that's what they're trying to do, to have the likes of Georgia, Slovenia, Slovakia, Romania involved in your round of 16 is absolutely growing the tournament. I can't argue with that. However, I think it's diluting the quality. And I think because it's diluting the quality, I think also, as you said, like teams know we can scrape through. I expect to see very, very different teams, not necessarily from a personnel point of view, but definitely with how teams approach games from now on. Teams have been going out all along in those group stages to not be beaten. You've seen it with the likes of Slovakia and Slovenia, just ticking through games, trying to get out with a draw and get out of the building. Like, if you're going to be Euros, go and try and win the fucking game. Try and get out of the group. Try and top it. Try and get yourself an easier draw. All of these things you can do. But because of the format and because, 4 third place teams were able to limp in, it's sabotaged what should have been a really good group stage for me.
Yeah, I think it's as you said. I mean, the problem with that really lies with UEFA in terms of what they're trying to do and stuff like that. No, but yeah, it's kind of a strange one. It is nice when you look at it on the screen there to see some of these teams in there, But obviously
And
they knew. Obviously they were very clever to the format and how they prepped and what they
yeah,
had to do and when they had to go and when they did and stuff like that. And you can see even in the way some of the games, like you looked at some of the final games there the other night, they didn't come alive. The Hungarian game didn't come alive until the last 15 minutes with
no,
Scotland and stuff like that and all, you know. So
and and that's what I'm talking about. Like, I want to look at, let's say, a quarter final draw or a round of 16 draw, and I want to see teams that are there on merit, i.e., like, let's say an Irish team that was there because it was plucky, because it was putting it up to teams, because it was beating teams. We obviously beat Italy in the first game of USA '94, and that kind of gave us the platform to go on and get the other point we needed and stuff like that against Norway and sneak through. But like, it was that victory. Without the victory, we don't get out of that group. There was teams have gotten out of that group without a fucking victory. Don't tell me that's good for football. As much as I agree with the sentiment that it's amazing to see Georgia there, it really is. For years, Georgia were the whipping boys. Ireland were putting Georgia to the sword not too long ago, home and away, 2-3-0. And now all of a sudden, Georgia are involved in a last 16 at the Euro. So that's terrific for them. It really is. But I think it's diluting the quality. I really, really do. And I think if I want to see teams of the Georgias and of the Slovenias and of the Slovakias in this round, I want to see them there on merit. And I don't necessarily think they're there on merit at the minute because of the way the format is.
well, the flip side of that, I suppose, is the format would suggest that they realised how to work the format, and by doing that, they're there on merit. That kind of way. So they just they figured out how to work the system, basically.
But
Um,
again,
but
that doesn't mean the system's right either. And that's the issue.
no, absolutely not. But like that's the thing about that is you can't land that at Georgia's door, or Slovenia's door, or
No, you
Slovakia's
can't.
door.
And that's why I said,
You know,
this has been sabotaged by UEFA themselves for
yeah,
me. Like, to be
yeah.
able to come out of a group not having won a game, that's fucking embarrassing.
Hmm.
That is embarrassing. Even for them to be in, that round of 16 and to, like, if you're one of those teams and they haven't won a game and they've got through, right? Are you excited? They haven't won a game yet. How could you be? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
that's
it kind of goes back to the old argument as well, doesn't it? In the Champions League, the Champions League is not a collection of all champions, and you
no.
can lose a lot of games in the Champions League and still win it. So
Yeah.
it's that kind of there's no kind of a kickback if things go sour. Really, you always have another chance. In terms of let's talk first of all. We'll just talk about England and then we'll go down through the round of 16. In
Yeah.
terms of England, what have you made of this? Like, Southgate getting an awful lot of stick, players getting an awful lot of stick. Some players not getting stick that probably should be getting stick that haven't showed up, but for one reason or another seem to get a pass while others don't. Give me a little kind of synopsis on England so far, the 3 games that you've seen.
I think they've been abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. I think with what they have, with what Gareth Southgate has at his disposal, I would have expected a far more expansive style of football, an attractive style of football, an attacking form of football. Um, and I've been so let down by that. I think he's been extremely negative. I think, looking from the outside, each team that started has been extremely unbalanced for my liking. I like square pegs and square holes. I think when I'm looking at it, Garrett's got a lot of square pegs and round holes, and not, it's just not working for him. I think he's lost out massively trying to shoehorn Trent Alexander-Arnold into where he tried to shoehorn him into. I think he's done Trent a massive disservice, if I'm honest, as well. Because I think he's pushed Trent into the firing line. And I
Well,
think as a
it's played out.
manager, you're there to,
It's played
yeah,
out as well in the way he changed it because he changed it and it made no difference.
yeah.
So
But I
like,
think also when you're a manager, you're there to take the shots at times. And I
mm,
think when you push somebody like Trent into where he was and trying to heap a lot of pressure on him, because don't forget, if Trent's playing, that means you've got the likes of Eberechi Eze, Adam Wharton, Kobe Mainoo, Conor Gallagher all sitting behind him. they're bullets you're lining up in that chamber for guys to fire shots at them. And as a manager, you can't put your players in the firing line like that. For me, I think it's a cardinal sin. I gotta say, I think his idea of not bringing, another recognised left back has hampered them massively. I think if Shaw wasn't going to be fit till the knockout stages, let's say, I think he should have brought Ben Chilwell, excuse me. Regardless of how good or bad a season he had, or he should have looked at the boy, Tariq Mitchell, somebody like that to bring again a bit of balance. I think he's really struggled with Phil Foden. I think Phil Foden looks a shadow of the player that he's looked at Manchester City. But again, I don't think it's necessarily Phil Foden's fault. I think Gareth Southgate hasn't played in a position that he's not ideally suited to. I think Anthony Gordon should have seen way more game time. I think he needs to pick between Jude Bellingham and Phil Foden. I think it's very difficult to get both of them in. I just think he's got it wrong in so many places. I really do. I actually think for an international manager, it's fucking scary how much he's got wrong.
And especially considering the experience he has in reaching a final and reaching a semi-final.
Absolutely.
He should have, you should be building on this all the time. And I mean, you look at that left-back situation. I mean, you've Joe Gomez sitting there on the bench who had a really good season for Liverpool when he filled in a left-back as an option. You know what I mean? And it's just...
They were favourites to win this tournament.
Yeah.
Going on the back of a Euro final, a World Cup semi-final, the way they've built... the squad they've built, everything that's gone on, and now you're seeing them like this, and they just look toothless. Like, it's actually scary. It really is, to see what he's done to this team. And I've heard Jamie Carragher say, we have to look at the players and stuff like that. Absolutely, you have to look at the players. The players have to hold their hands up. But don't tell me if the guy sets us up incorrectly, the players can help that. That's very difficult. The players have been given a job to do by the manager, and if it doesn't go well, if that message isn't right, and if he's not putting the team out in the right kind of shape, and the balance and the formation isn't right, then it's tough for the guys inside there to do what they're supposed to do, and that for me falls on Southgate.
Yeah, and I think his lack of bravery as well in making decisions. Yeah. You spoke before the tournament there about creating situations on the pitch through relationships with teams and stuff like that. So, on one side we spoke about Trippier and Anthony Gordon. We also spoke on the other side about setting up, Walker and all this kind of stuff, and setting up these kind of relationships. But he kind of lives in fear. He's kind of cowardly in his decision making.
Extremely windy. Yeah,
like you look at Harry Kane even there, and we know how brilliant Harry Kane is at goal scoring and stuff like that. But clearly Harry Kane is either not fit or still injured coming into this tournament.
Yeah,
and for some reason he doesn't want to sit him down. He doesn't.
We saw it happen with England. I think it was South Africa. I think it was Wayne Rooney when he did the metatarsal, and it was David Beckham with the metatarsal first, and then it was Wayne Rooney afterwards, and we seen them bring guys. We've seen them bring guys to World Cups who weren't fit. And because they weren't fit, they didn't get anywhere near the level of what they should have got out of them. And England fell on their hands and knees because of it. And that, again, is down to managers and selection and the weight of public opinion. The one thing I will say, and I know you're going to ask about Daz's thing here, but the one thing I will say is, I think as bad as it's been, I think when you come out and you make comments like Gareth Southgate made the other night, I think you're signing your own death warrant. Like, for him to come out and say, we haven't been able to replace Calvin Phillips.
Massive.
I think that is just the biggest red herring I've ever heard of. Like, as I listened to a couple of pundits talk about it. And one of them said, let's not forget, Calvin Phillips has been shit for 2 years now. So, if that's the case, right? If that's the case,
he's probably played more international minutes than he has club minutes.
But so if that's the case, why are we even having a discussion about this guy? You know what I mean? Like, crazy.
You've got
Kobe Mainoo. You've got Kobe Mainoo, and you're talking about not having Calvin Phillips. That is fucking mind-blowing. That's mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing.
I would have loved it if I was the journalist there when he said that. The first thing I would have said to him, okay, if you had got Calvin Phillips, who are you taking out?
Yeah.
You've Jude Bellingham in there, La Liga winner,
so
Champions League winner.
Is he taking out Phil Foden or Jude Bellingham for Calvin Phillips? Because if he is, pack your bag now and just start fucking walking.
Or Kobe Mainoo, who's had an unbelievable season at United within a very tough situation. FA Cup winner, Trent Carabao Cup winner, generally in there and stuff like that. Declan Rice, phenomenal season with Arsenal, just didn't get over the line and all. And it's just like you're just there going, the stupidity. And like you can imagine how those guys back in the locker room and in the training ground listen to this feel. He's washing us out for Calvin Phillips.
That's it.
Good Lord.
Like it brings me back to, and again, I know there's obviously context, but it brings me back to the Nemanja Vidic and Rio Ferdinand being shown videos of Phil Jagielka by David Moyes. Crazy
stuff. And, the answers when you looked at them sounded like a guy who had been ill-prepared for what was coming at him and stuff like that. And he obviously sees things very, very different to the way we see it. And the public at large see it and stuff like that. And good Lord, I mean, to come out with that kind of stuff. Can you imagine if he was in management with a Premier League side? Imagine he had got the United job. Imagine the stuff
rather not.
Post-match.
I'd rather not.
Give us your starting 11 then for not what he would go with. If it was you, what would
if it was me and everything is available to me, I go with Jordan Pickford. Obviously, been very, very steady again. He's now England's record clean sheet holder at major tournaments, which I think is phenomenal. Considering when he came in initially, he was a guy that would have had a lot of question marks beside his name. But I think over the years, I think he's managed to turn the tide of that. And I think he's really managed to put a bit of respect beside his name. I think he's done very, very well so far. I think the two boys at centre-back, obviously Stones and Gahey. Gahey, for me, has probably been the best England player at the tournament. I think he's been phenomenal. I think if Crystal Palace are looking at this, they're going, this is going exactly how we wouldn't wanted it to go. This kid's price is fucking escalating every time he plays a game at international level. So I think that again, I go Stones and Gahey. I'd like to see Trippier back on the right. I think on the left, he looks absolutely lost. He's a guy who likes to get up and down the wing and likes to maraud, and he has great delivery and stuff like that. But I think you're losing it massively as he plays on the opposite side. I personally would like to see Luke Shaw, albeit if he's fit. If he is fit, I'd be going Trippier and Shaw. That's how I'd be going again.
Apparently he's back in training now. So.
Yeah, and apparently the training was quite rigorous that he was involved in. So hopefully, I just think it brings that kind of balance. Again, I like a right footer on the right and a left footer on the left. I just think, there's a lot to be said for not trying to reinvent the wheel. I would go with Declan Rice at 6. I think that's where he needs to play. He's going to screen that back 4. I think he's done a good job so far. He hasn't been, he's certainly not one of the guys I would be throwing a lot of mud at right now. I would go with Jude Bellingham at 8. So, alongside Declan Rice or just beside him. I think I'd like to see Jude set the tempo a little bit better. I think he's got lost at times because England haven't parked way too far up the pitch. And if we look at the first game, he was very, very good when he picked the ball up in his own half and started to drive with it and stuff like that and get those legs working. So I'd have him in much closer to Rice. And I would have Foden then as my 10. So I'd have Rice and Bellingham, and I would have Foden at 10 in behind Kane, feeding Kane. And then I would have Anthony Gordon on the left, and I'd personally go with Cole Palmer on the right. I think he looked very lively when he came on the other night. I think he looked as lively in the 30 minutes that he played than Bukayo Saka has in the first 3 games. And I think if somebody shows me that hunger and that desire, I think, the spot should be theirs. So that's what I'd be going with. I'd be going with Trippier, Gahey, Stones, Shaw, Bellingham and Rice, Palmer, Foden, Gordon, and Kane.
Too bad. Sounds like
I think there's nice balance about it. You know what I mean? I think you've got Anthony Gordon who can go on the outside. I think you've got Cole Palmer who can go on the inside. They can also be swapped in and out either side. You've got Kane then that the guys are actually feeding Kane. One of the biggest issues that Kane has had so far is he's had no fucking service. He's had absolutely no service. You know, you can be one of the best strikers in world football, but unless the guys are creating opportunities for you, you're going to starve. And that's what's happened so far with Harry Kane.
He doesn't look fit. He
No, he
doesn't look
doesn't.
fit.
He
He looks
doesn't.
at least a yard off it at the moment, because even some of those passes that at times they are threading through that you would think are like spot on for him, he's miles off it.
Yeah,
Miles
the
off it.
other thing I will say is Harry Kane's never necessarily been a very, very quick player. You know, he's not a guy who has lightning pace. And with a lot of the teams that England have played against, they've sat in a low block, which means the space is just of such a premium. It's not there.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you're playing somebody and you get to the knockout rounds and teams fancy themselves a little more or a bit of a stronger team and they start to try and stretch the game and stuff. You will get a little bit of space in behind, and then it's going to be how he times it and then stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I think that's much, much easier. But it's very difficult if it's group games and, you know, teams are sitting in embedded in like that.
Yeah, it's also difficult as well when you have a whole team at the moment that's shot of confidence, disjointed, and not playing very, very well. And then you have the likes of, I think there was a comment made the other night that no one's really a 6 or an 8. They're all just bombing forward. They're all just bombing back. And there doesn't be any, they're just disregarding.
Well, I mean, the
shape
players are there to
formation.
play the system. Like, I mean, Rice is your ready-made 6. He sits and he screens. And when he doesn't play there, at times he's been playing centre-back. So he is a defensive-minded player. You've got to just tell him, listen, you're the sitter. You're the guy that screens the back four. Bellingham is the go-between. And Foden is the guy who sits in the pocket, drops in between the two banks of four and the lines, picks it up, and then plays those little passes that we know he can. You know,
Yeah,
and that, again, comes from the manager.
It just seemed at times looking at their play to get very clustered and people on top of each other. And it was like there was an anxiety within players to be the guy instead of play your part of the team that lends itself to success. Everyone wanted to kind of be that guy, you know what I mean? Instead of, like, as you said, sit in the 6 and do your defensive stuff. Give the ball to Jude. Let Jude do his thing. Let Foden do his thing. Let Kane do his thing. Everyone seemed to want to do their thing. And it just got so disjointed. It was just like a cluster, really, you know, and it was weird. Mark wants to know, when are you doing the Scottish jerseys next week?
That'll be never.
We did enough of that with that clash at the Castle jersey, didn't we?
That fucking Rangers looking yoke.
Jack wants you to review the Tranmere shirt next week. Send it on to us, Jack, and we'll do it. We'll do it for you.
It's usually white. Then there's usually maybe a little hint of navy about it on the sleeve or on the cuff, or sometimes they even throw a little pinstripe navy bit in, but they're never great, Jack. Let's be honest. It's always made by some absolute fucking plotter because they're in League fucking Z or whatever it is.
Yeah, Spoilers agree with you. Kane needs to feck off and stay up front. That's why he's not getting service.
Yeah.
Just finished his exams. Best of luck with them, Jack. Hope they go well.
Good man, Jacko, yeah.
He's on top of Trent and Rice all the time, and too late getting in the box when Saka and Cole get in on the wings, so they have to hold the ball for ages. Yeah, you can see they're taking extra touches, and it's just not natural for them at the moment, stuff like that.
No.
And the other thing we would say is that this group of players that's trying to play together, it's very new. You know what I mean? I spoke last week on the show with Mark saying, why is he experimenting at a finals? You know what I mean? And it's crazy.
Yeah, when you had opportunities to, you know.
You know what I mean? This should have been what he was doing in March. You know what I mean? And it's crazy, 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 crazy stuff. Foden is mad having third child at the age of 24. Don't know why he just didn't live his life till 26 to have his first kid. Because he's rich. He doesn't have to. He's rich. Eddie who thinking Eddie and Ketty is worth 50 million. I seen that. They were talking about value on Eddie and Ketty at 50 million. He's not even worth 50 cents. You have Trent making the most chances in the team, and Kane is up his hole. It's mad. It's mad. And look, the funny thing about it, I don't know what he was trying to achieve the other night. in taking Trent out and putting Gallagher in, where you have then two kind of quite defensive-minded guys in the middle of the park. It was
if
crazy.
England are trying to win in Euros and Conor Gallagher can get in the starting 11, something going wrong.
They're in trouble.
Something going wrong.
Unless you have a litany of injuries or something has gone wrong.
Well, I mean, like, for me, only me personally, I would have Conor Gallagher behind Rice, Bellingham, Foden, Mainu, Eze, and Wharton. I don't have him ahead of one other midfielder in that squad. And he has played more minutes than maybe four of those lads.
Yeah, well, I mean, some of them haven't even got minutes.
Fucking nuts.
It's crazy.
That's nuts.
Crazy.
It's mental.
Jack saying Tranmere are winning the league next season. HMS is the league. There you go. Dazzler Miles are the ones who sponsor Tranmere, and they're a sports brand from Indonesia, and they're mad British shirts recently. But this season, because it's 140 years of Tranmere, the shirt looks mint. Sanders on the shirt, Jack. We will look at it next week.
I'm gonna goggle it here.
He's gonna have a go at it there now, and we'll see.
Look here, Jack.
Absolutely. While you're doing that, we'll set up. We're going to go through now. Let us know in the chat, folks. Give us your picks for the round of 16. What is your thinking on the round of 16? Are we going to see some upsets? Let us know.
I have a very small theory on this. Sorry, that's this year's, is it? 23, 24. Have they put next year's in yet? No? Don't think they have, Jack.
Forget the Euros. League of Ireland back tomorrow. Come on, the Shells.
Add a carrier bag.
William.
I don't know.
Good man, William. That's what I like to hear.
The home kit's not available until the 1st of July, the Tranmere one. Pure vintage. Let's see. Are we getting a look at it here? I called it right out the gate, didn't I?
The white with the navy?
White with the navy collar and the navy cuff. It's not great, Jack. It's really not great, pal. Hang on, I'm going to try and turn around for you. Can I turn around? It's like a polo shirt. It's not great.
I do like the polo shirt jerseys, though, in fairness.
It looks like a polo shirt. If you whipped the badges on it and stuck a little pony on it, it'd look like a fucking polo thing.
I'll have a look at it later. Jack said on
yeah, I don't think it's awesome, Jack, if I'm honest.
Trump versus Biden debate tonight.
Is it, yeah? Jesus. Someone's getting thrown out, aren't he?
Holston Spurs retro.
It's not it's not a million miles away from that, actually.
There you go. Great show, Spider. Great show.
You know, every couple of years we get one of these Euros where somebody from nowhere wins it. Now we get one of them. You know, like we've had Denmark in 88 and Greece in 2000 and whatever it was. 2004, was it?
Yeah. You know, I potentially have a team picked for that.
Well, we know who you're going to pick. I can tell you now who you're going to pick based on, because I know how your mind works.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah?
Who am I picking?
You're picking Austria.
I am.
I'm good, am I?
I think they're very well coached.
They're really well coached. They've got some decent teams, some decent players. Yeah, well, like, here's the thing. The likelihood is they'll get past Turkey, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll end up with the Dutch, who they beat in the group stage. So they're certainly not going to be, they're not going to fear that game, right? Yeah. Now, if they got through that, I would expect them to be playing England or Italy. And I think England or Italy should take them out. But I do think it's plausible that somebody other than maybe one of the really big teams wins it. Like, look at even the Italy-Switzerland game, right? Switzerland could win that game. Italy aren't in any great shakes at all. No. Switzerland look a much better side so far than Italy have.
You look at Italy; they've probably been the most disappointing holders coming into the tournament, haven't they? Really, when you think about it,
they've been poor. You know, they
they're
have
just
been
so
poor.
disjointed, aren't they?
So disjointed. They're so lacking in, you know, world class footballers. When you look at what we've had over the years in Italy, Italy have been spoiled for footballers. They really, really have. They've had some of the best footballers of all time. And then you look at what's in that Italian squad now, you just think this is miles off it. This is miles off the levels of where it should be for a country like Italy, to be honest with you.
This is like a team going through a Nations League transition, isn't it? As opposed to a Euro finals.
It's poor.
Yeah.
It's poor. So we drip down through them?
Yeah, start up the top then. Spain versus Georgia.
Yeah, so Spain obviously being one of the standout teams of the competition so far. Georgia had a great win the other day, but I think with Portugal already having qualified as group leaders, you know, it made life a bit easier and stuff like that for Georgia. You know what I'm saying? So I think Spain will get through, but you know, all the best to Georgia. You know, you'd love to see them do it and stuff like that. You know, I think Germany and Denmark will be a close game. I think you could see the likes of extra time on that one. I think Denmark are always really tough to beat. I don't think they're ever going to go out and trounce a team, but I think they make it really tough for teams to break them down, and they always drag teams into a really physical game and stuff like that. And I think they'll do that to Germany, and we could end up seeing, you know, certainly extra time and possibly even penalties.
I think of all the teams, though, Germany really enjoy that good physical game, though, don't they? They tend to
I just think they're lacking a bit of quality for that opening the door moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, I'm kind of thinking if that's a younger Spain side or something like that, they may not fancy it. Whereas I think with Germany, kind of they embrace it. You know, they nearly kind of bring it out in you nearly, you know, that kind of way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Portugal will trounce Slovenia. I think France will take care of Belgium pretty, you know, easily enough. The French is issue at the minute.
What have you made of Belgium in the tournament? They kind of sort of found their footing a little bit in the last game or so, didn't they?
I think they've been poor, if I'm honest.
Didn't they? Yeah, but the first game was awful. The second game, I think they bounced back well.
My big issue with Belgium is, and I'm actually gonna reference the phone here for a quick second, because I think personally a lot of the issues with the Belgium squad, with the Belgian performances, is the personnel is miles off where it needs to be. And if we look here, right, so I'm going to go from the back. You have the boy Casteels in goal. He hasn't necessarily done a whole lot wrong. It should have been Matt Sells, though. Right? It absolutely should have been Matt Sells. If I look at from the bench, Lukaku's been very poor. Yeah. The boy Lewis Openda has been phenomenal this season for Red Bull. He's been very, very good in Germany. We
spoke about this a few weeks ago. Would you have brought Courtois?
Listen, 100% he should. But here's your issue. You know, it's not necessarily just down to Courtois. Obviously, it starts from there, but it's not just the keeper. Like, the keeper's not playing in 11 positions either.
But I think if you have a guy like Courtois on there, obviously gives your defensive line a massive lift that you have a guy of that stature behind you.
Yeah, it does, absolutely.
So you could see a defense there that's maybe playing, in front of a Sells, who isn't a bad keeper by any stretch.
Sells is decent. I think Sells would do a much better job.
But if you're looking over your shoulder at the guy that's in there at the moment, and you're thinking Courtois was left at home, and you're thinking,
But I mean, even for me, like, obviously the boy Lewis Openda, I think he's a much better option up there than Lukaku. He's so much more mobile. He's quick. He's going to cause teams trouble, and he's going to get them turned the right direction. The boy Johan Bakayoko is one of the hottest prospects in European football, and he's played less than 45 minutes in the first 3 games. Like, what are they doing? they're really, really struggling for goals, and they're sitting a kid like this, an exciting, talented footballer like this on the bench. Again, I think Trossard has been very poor. I'd like to see Openda, and I'd like to see Bakayoko and Doku. I think they're younger, they're fresher, they're quicker, they're sprightlier. I think they bring excitement to the team. I think obviously De Bruyne and Onana have done okay. Tielemans has been okay. But I definitely think, and also the boy at times, Charles de Catalara, he's the boy who plays for Atalanta, who we know obviously won the Europa and stuff like that. A really, really good footballer, this kid, really clever, really inventive and stuff like that. When you're struggling when you're Belgium and you're struggling for goals, right? Why are you playing Yuri Tielemans against the Ukraine? Why are you not playing Onana, who we know is an absolute fucking stopper, right? He just sits in front of the back four, he breaks everything up, and why not play with a De Bruyne and a De Catalara on the front foot, playing the ball into the likes of a Doku and an Openda and a Bakayoko? Do you know what I mean? I think they're missing an awful lot of tricks here. And again,
as we know, as a stopper, Yuri Tielemans is certainly not that guy,
right? And again, there's certain things that I look at, and when I see them, I go, "Wow, really?" From the last game, the two Belgian centre backs, right? The first one is one of the poorest centre backs I've seen in the Premier League in a long time, which is the boy Wout Faes. Remember the boy scored the 2 OGs for Leicester against you boys?
Yeah. The guy with the hair.
With the David Luiz wig, yeah? And the second guy is a guy, Jan Vertonghen, who left Spurs 4 years ago because he was past it.
It's so weird, isn't it?
And he's still starting for the Belgian national team.
And it's not only that,
that's
like as you said earlier, like you're talking like Onana's been okay, De Bruyne has been okay, you know what I mean? Trossard has been poor, you know what I mean? These are like these are big names that Belgium need to do the business, you know what I mean? It's
absolutely.
Like, run down through the rest so we get through some other points on the show as well.
I think Holland will beat Romania. I think Austria will beat Turkey. I think England will beat Slovakia. And I'm going to go for Switzerland. For Switzerland. I really enjoyed watching Switzerland. I think they've been a good, solid side. They've been really, really good. And obviously, Switzerland and Germany won me a fortune last Sunday night. So I'm going to go with Switzerland.
Yeah, I picked out a treble there earlier for the round of 16. I did, yeah, and I did. It's 12-1. I did Germany, Austria, and Switzerland.
Yeah, and it's not outside the realms of possibility at all. It's really not. And if we think of the bets that we did at the start of the tournament that were all in those kind of 10s and 12s ranges, for you to be able to pick a treble and get 12 now is like, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good. It's good going.
Yeah, we'll follow it anyway, but it's going to be interesting. But strap yourselves in. There definitely is going to be some upsets because some of these teams that will be part of shoe-ins just haven't showed up whatsoever. Now,
I wouldn't at all be surprised to see Denmark and Switzerland go through. I wouldn't.
Denmark as well, yeah.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Host going out. That'd be massive, wouldn't it?
It'd be huge. Yeah. But it's not. I don't think it's outside the realms of possibility, if I'm honest.
Interesting. Right, let's park the Euros there for the moment. Of course, we'll update you as we go on the shows each week. Don't forget, folks, just to remind you as well, Browner will be back on with us on Monday night, myself and Mark, talking Legends 11. Some big United Legends games coming up and stuff like that. So he'll be giving us an update. And he'll be probably sharing some stories from the last game against Longford Town, which was a massive success. So check that out. Don't miss that show, 9 o'clock on Monday. Right, let's talk about this. Let's get it out of the way because I know it's not your favourite topic tonight. James McLean, who's been doing punditry on RTE, has been quite outspoken about Declan Rice and the England situation and stuff like that. Said that, I won't quote him verbatim, but he gave us the impression that he's kind of bang average and he doesn't get into a lot of the top teams, even though he's with Arsenal, who are a top team, one of the top teams.
But he'd never get into Wigan or Wrexham or a shit Sunderland side. I have a number of issues here. The first issue is, who thought it was going to be good to put James McLean on RTE?
Well, this is where our friend Eamon Dunphy was coming from in the Belfast Telegraph. He was saying that there's no humour there at all. There's very little personality.
There's no personality. He's a very small, bitter, hatred-filled little man.
Yeah.
He really is. And I'm not an Eamon Dunphy fan, by the way. I don't like Eamon Dunphy one bit, but he is 100% right on this. I think whoever decided it was going to be a good idea to put McLean in there, I think that was a really poor decision from RTE. I think for McLean himself to come out and have a go at a guy like Declan Rice is fucking mind-boggling. I think it's mind-boggling. I really do. I think if you look at Declan Rice and what he has done in his football career to date, he has already achieved more than James McLean has or ever will.
It stunk as well of a little bit of bitterness, didn't it? Because I think didn't both these boys play together for Ireland, I think, at underage level?
Yeah, they did, that's right. And that's why Rice came back and said, that's why I'm not getting involved in mudslinging. I know James, he's a good guy. I've nothing bad to say about him, which I thought, to be honest with you, was a really smart piece of communication from Rice. I thought he was really, really good, and with how he came across. And he was like, listen, that's his opinion. Nothing I can do about it, And he said, everyone's entitled to their opinions, but I'm not just going to throw mud for the sake of it and blah, blah. I just thought, you've really just sawn him off there. I thought it was brilliant from Declan Rice. I got to be honest. Like, whatever you think about Declan Rice as an Irish man, let's say, we can't or we shouldn't look at him and try to paint him in the sort of light, in a negative sort of light, just because he decided he wanted to play for a better football team, get paid more money, and it takes away his value. Do you know what I mean? I don't blame him for any of that at all.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it seemed a little weird. I loved. Did you see Allardyce's response to it on TalkSport?
And he no, I didn't.
They asked Allardyce about it, and he goes, "Who the hell is James McLean?"
100%. Look, you've just been putting your grave by fucking Big Sam.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. It was interesting, but it just felt like that the whole night and the conversation in there just felt like just hate kind of filled mudslinging, Now, I have to say, I know Declan Rice handled it very professionally and stuff like that, but I kind of wanted him to have a bite. I wanted him to have a bit of a bite, just for us, just for content, really, But interesting. But
but I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he didn't stoop to the same levels as McLean. Dunphy was a master of this. Dunphy used to just say things for the reaction. Dunphy knew what he was doing. But to Dunphy's credit, there was value behind what he said, and he would always keep it up, and it was always the Dunphy show, and everyone would tune in for it. McLean's a fucking wet sponge. You know what I mean? He's trying to be Dunphy without the humour. Like, you'd be better off fucking turning your head away from the camera rather than the fucking flag and fucking looking the other direction. Cabbage. Oh, God.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's embarrassing watching him. It really is. Yeah. Sorry, lads. I have a big, huge problem with the Brits, except for when I'm paying me taxes. Now, King Charles, how much would you like out of me money this week? I'll pay you whatever you want, King Charles. But, oh, Jesus, now, hang on. I'm going to turn the other way now, lads, because you did awful things in Derry. Awful things in Derry. Let me look away from that flag. Now, did you say something about money there, lads? Was it? Fuck you, James McLean. You absolute fucking hack.
This is the kind of response I wanted from Declan Rice. You were giving it to me.
Called me up. I would have given it to you. Fucking James McLean uttering Declan Rice's name out of his mouth. Honestly, I feel like Chris Rock. No, I feel like Will Smith. I'm walking up to James McLean and going, get Declan Rice's name out of your mouth. Buff.
There we go. Now, something we spoke about at the top of the show that I mentioned. NBA icon Shaq O'Neal is reportedly in talks to buy a stake in Premier League side West Ham United with a hefty net worth of $500 million. And I'd say it's much more than that. The former LA Lakers star is keen to join the club's ranks as a shareholder. And if negotiations go smoothly, he should be in there for the start of the new season. Thoughts?
This is only a positive. This can only be a positive. I don't know how much do you know about Shaquille O'Neal?
Know a good bit about him.
Like, Shaquille O'Neal is just such a great character. He really, really is.
Great
if you
human
want to
being.
know, great human being, a great human being. If you want to know all you want to know about Shaquille O'Neal, I'll go very quickly to a story. And this was, he came outside of a Lakers game one night, or an Orlando Magic game, and he was accosted by a parent. And the parent was shouting at him over these fucking, why do you keep making shoes that are like $150 a pair? I can't afford shoes for my kids, right? And Shaquille was like, what? And she was like, yeah, you heard me. And he was like, why is this lady heckling me? And he was like, something going on here. Next day, he called Reebok, I think it was. He had a deal with it. And he was like, listen, tear the deal up. Rip the deal up. We don't want the deal. The deal's finished. I don't want the money. I'll give them back whatever I need to give them. We got to make shoes that are affordable for parents. And he went and he did a deal with Walmart. And now listen, it's still a massive deal, but they now provide, a very high grade level of basketball shoe at an extremely low cost price and affordable price in the Walmart. Now, at this stage, I imagine he's probably quadruple 10 times over what he was ever going to get off a Reebok deal. But he did it for the right reasons. He did it for people to be able to walk around with the branding on them and it not cost him a fortune. That shows he's a good human being. And he's a really, really good guy. I like him a lot. I think he'd be a phenomenal addition to West Ham and to the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you ever see the show he does where he goes around treating people and buying them stuff and all?
Yeah.
So cool. I
So
seen the one where he
he's
bought
just
the kid
such a
good
guy.
Yeah. And he sent the kid over to the parent to ask the parent permission to buy the kid the bike.
Yeah.
It's just, and then
because he has an awful lot of he has an awful lot of morals. You know what I mean? He has an awful lot of morals, and again, this is just me. He's a seriously funny guy. He's a really funny guy. Even if you see him in those little snippet roles he has in Grown Ups and stuff like that, as the cop, he's so funny, man. He's a great guy. I love him, I gotta say. Big fan of his.
He was shambolic in AEW against Cody Rhodes. We give him a pass on it, Aces. We give him a pass.
He's only another guy that Tony Khan made look shambolic, in fairness. Let's be honest there.
Isn't it amazing, these American sports icons that we have up there and the massive interest they now have in the Premier League and stuff like that? It's amazing. I suppose a lot of it's probably coming maybe on the back of the Wrexham situation and stuff like that, which is kind of
some of it will be, but also it's how the league has grown exponentially over the years and become that global brand that the Premier League wanted it to be.
Yeah.
You go to places in the States now and like people are walking into bars to watch a 3:00 kickoff. You know what I mean? Because
or even the growth of the MLS, even, you know what I mean? And
absolutely,
the likes of Messi going there and stuff like that, the interest is obviously massive, you know? So, yeah. Cool. But yeah, it'd be interesting. I'd love to see it. It'd be cool. Let's have a quick talk about your own club. Erik ten Hag, what do you make of these layers that have been put in there? Are you comfortable with it? Do you feel it? Is it a bit too much? Is it just about right? And these boys coming in coaches as well. What do you think?
Yeah, so like I generally don't have a huge issue with them coming in. Ruud van Nistelrooy and Rene Hake. I don't see a huge issue with it. I think obviously both of the lads were number ones at their last clubs. So for them to be willing to take the step and to become assistants at United can only lend itself. Go Ahead Eagles had a great season this season in the Eredivisie, finished seventh. And Ruud van Nistelrooy had a couple of really good seasons with PSV Eindhoven as well. And blooded a lot of young players and stuff like that. Van Nistelrooy gave a lot of game time to Jared Brandtwaite and stuff like that. And obviously the boy Johan Bakayoko we just spoke about. So like two younger managers with really good ideas and stuff like that. I don't know how it affects what's there at the minute. That's the only problem. Like, are we going to see Steve McLaren exit the building? Are we going to see, Mitchell van der Gaag and leave the building? I know the talk has been that Benny McCarthy is leaving. And if McCarthy leaves and he was, let's say, the striking coach, that's possibly where Van Nistelrooy will take up a role in the squad. And I mean, if you're a United fan and you've got somebody like a Ruud van Nistelrooy who Rasmus Højlund could learn from, that's got to be a plus for me. It's got to be.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's just often when you see this, this level of change, if you like, because obviously boardroom is all changing and stuff like that, director of football, all this kind of stuff, trying to get the Ashworth stuff sorted and Barada coming in and everything else.
I don't see any negatives in it, if I'm honest. I think there's a lot of, pillars being put in place behind the scenes, and we spoke about this. I think they're trying to do things from the ground up, so to speak, and I think it's the approach that's been missing for a number of years at United. I think at the minute, a lot of the moves that they're making look to be quite clever moves. Only time will tell if they are, but on the basis of what we can see from the outside, they look like good, clever additions to the squad, to the club, and it's a move in the right direction for me.
Do you think it might also be a contingency plan in case things don't work out with Ten Hag?
No, I wouldn't look at it that way. I wouldn't look at it that way. I think obviously he's going to sign a new deal. I think they're trying to give him the best opportunity to succeed at Manchester United. And I think they look at maybe a Van Nistelrooy and a Rene Hake and stuff like that, and they say, well, these guys could help add to the pot, and they could bring valuable knowledge and stuff like that in to try and bolster what we already have. And again, I can't see it as a negative. I've got to see it as a positive.
I suppose it's just the in me kind of thinking, here's two guys coming in relatively young in their managerial careers and stuff like that, as you said, who have had success at a level, because obviously they'd be caught in certain ways and what they can achieve and stuff like that. But they've looked really successful in what they've had to work with and play with and stuff like that. And I would be kind of a little bit looking over my shoulder going, where are you parachuting these two guys in? Is this really for my benefit? Or am I being?
I firmly believe they're not being parachuted in. Like the fact that they're both two Dutch lads would tell me he's very, very, very involved in this.
So you think he's involved in it? He's
absolutely. Yeah. I don't think it's coincidental. You're looking at two Dutch lads who have done reasonable jobs in the Eredivisie, and guys with different backgrounds. A striker and then maybe a guy that maybe a more defensive minded coach and stuff like that. So I think it's really positive, if I'm honest. But I do feel he's definitely been involved.
Yeah, the Van Nistelrooy one doesn't surprise me at all, because obviously the history and everything else there, and obviously you have quite a young striker base there at the moment. And he would really impart a lot of knowledge on the likes of Garnacho and guys like that and stuff,
Absolutely.
and Højlund and all.
Garnacho, Mainu, Ahmad, Højlund.
The other guy coming in is a kind of an interesting move, because it's, as
well,
you said,
I think when it's a move that you don't necessarily see, then it becomes, oh, what's this? Why is, you know what I mean?
And that's where I'm coming from on it.
Yeah. Because if let's say this guy had come in under a slot in the new Liverpool setup, you wouldn't have been as surprised, because obviously Slot is going to bring guys in with him. Whereas this is United making changes to the existing coaching team, which isn't always something that happens very readily, you know.
But the way I looked at it kind of was Barada's coming in from Man City.
Yeah.
Ashworth's coming in from Newcastle.
Yeah.
So these are, you're going out nearly getting best in class of what's available and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Van Nistelrooy's coming in because obviously the links with United and how successful he was, and the need there for those younger strikers to look at a guy who's been there, done that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're bringing in the coach from Go Ahead Eagles. I'm thinking, that was the one that
but
surprised me.
you don't know. Like it could just be the stepping stone. He may come in, and this may be, he may come in and end up taking over some part of the youth system, which is going to enable the philosophy to drip from the top down. If let's say he came in and
Wilcox.
Do you know what I mean? Create that link, and Wilcox will sit between Ten Hag and Hake and stuff like that, and it'll go, okay, this is the way we're going with this. This is how things will function from now on, and this is how it'll go down and stuff like that through the layers. And there's loads of possibilities. I think until it's been announced and until he's been given a formal position and what he's going to do and whether there's going to be any other changes, i.e. people stepping out of the breach, I think it's difficult to go too far with it,
There's only so many coaches you could sit on a bench, isn't there? So things
we need to get bigger benches, all right,
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to be like Chelsea where you have lads changing in the corridor and stuff like that.
No. Surely not.
One final one for you. Everton takeover could prompt major UEFA rule change wanted by Man United. This is in relation, spoke to Mark about it the other night, Jean-Claire Todibo transfer not being allowed to go ahead by UEFA. But now the owner of Roma basically is looking like taking over Everton. And it looks like UEFA might be forced back into a rollback or a rule change in relation to the inter-transfer of players between clubs in the same
group. I think already there's going to be an issue with it because I think United have already said they're looking at going to the Court of Arbitration for Sport.
That's right. Yeah.
And UEFA won't want to fight the battle. And if it gets to that level, UEFA will concede ground, I imagine, straight away on it. I just think it's very difficult for them. They've created this loophole for themselves, UEFA. Like the fact that we know guys are going to move between City and Girona on a double access like that.
Salzburg and Leipzig.
Salzburg and Leipzig, it's very difficult then for them to say, oh, well, hold on a second now. Todibo can't go to United. Oh, well, why not? Well, they're owned by the same. Well, hold on now, lads. This ain't the first rodeo. We've already had 3 or 4 of these, so, it's very difficult. I thought it was a very strange decision, but I think it is one that will prompt action from United, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think it's a kind of, I'm weary of it a little bit, but I think so long as the transfers are up front, I think if the information's all there, I think if it's fair market value and all that kind of stuff. I think
the one thing about it is, I don't think it's ever going to be fair market value. Me personally.
Then that creates a problem then. If you've got a player,
I don't think it's ever going to be fair market value because, I mean, what I accept for a player and what their value is are 2 different things. Now, if Nice aren't in a position where they need to sell, if Nice weren't in a position where they need to sell and United want to go and get Todibo out and there's no link with the ownership, right? Nice might sit in their hands and say he don't leave here other than 40 million, right? But I think if United make the bid and it's at 25 and Nice go, yeah, grand, thanks very much, we'll take it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think in that area, that's where it needs to be careful. You know what I mean? Because I just think
100%. I just think it's the hardest part of it to legislate.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it this week in the way it can manipulate PSR as well, with players valued at $1 million and $2 million exiting the building for 20 million and 25 million and all, and it's just it's playing roulette with the market and the rules and stuff like that and all. And I think
it's crazy.
I think once everything is black and white and above board and scrutinised and all that kind of stuff, I don't have a major problem with it. I think that's the way football's going to go with a lot of clubs anyway. But I just think, yeah, absolutely. I think what happens is you can't turn around and allow groups to own multiple clubs and then start beating them over the head about what they can and can't do and stuff like that. If you're going to go down the road, then they just can't own multiple clubs.
100%.
And it's either
you've got to give up your role in one club in order to take up a role in another. It's very simple.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
yeah.
it's very simple.
It'll be interesting to see, because I think what happens is if they do roll back on this rule, which seems to be the rule that kind of holds clubs back. I think if they roll back on this rule, I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of clubs then linking up within groups very, very quickly. Because once they open that door, once they break down that dam,
Pandora's box, isn't it?
That water rushes through pretty quick. Yeah. And as you said, there's history there already between the RB clubs and stuff like that, and also
absolutely
and stuff like that, and other clubs, obviously. So I think it's very hard to fight it in a court of arbitration or like that. Yeah, and come out on a win. But it'll be interesting to see. But it could be huge for United because very much they want Todibo in there, and he'll
absolutely be done. 100% he'll get done. I firmly believe he'll be done, and I think it'll be done on a level that allows us to go and pay money for another good centre back. Because obviously, I imagine each position has a budget attached to it, and if you want two centre backs and you've only got 50 million, that life becomes a little more difficult, you know.
And the problem with the transfer window at the moment is there's not a huge amount of activity in it, and the reason a lot of that's not happening is because there's a lot of links there trying to come into place to allow things to happen. So
you're waiting on that domino effect, aren't you?
Yeah, well, until you
I think from Monday,
15 million earlier. Yeah, but if you think from the Todibo situation, if you can get him in 10, 15 million cheaper, that's possibly more money than you can throw at the Brandweight deal to get him in as well, and you get your two centre backs. So so a lot of it hinges on other things, stuff like that, because it's been a miserable transfer window, hasn't it? It's just
it's only literally open a wet weekend, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. But
I think obviously with the 30th of July, 30th of June coming up and the 1st of July, you'll start to see a little more activity.
This week is going to be interesting because a lot of teams have to get their T's crossed and their I's dotted, as they say, and make sure all those good hotels and all are sold and everything else, you know. So as you well know, great show as always. Good to have you back on after last week. It's not easy round this boat sometimes singly, but we get it done.
We do.
But until next time, folks, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the round of 16 that's kicking off. I will be back on Monday with Marky, and Browner will be on as well from Legends 11. We'll be talking about that kind of stuff and more stories. Now, Wednesday, I'll be back as always with Pro Wrestling Weekly with Russ. And again, next Thursday with Darren, as we always do. And that will be us. Until next time, folks, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like on the video. Make sure you're supporting all the guys in the chat as well if they have channels, as always, especially I've seen Spider in there and a few of the guys. Make sure you're helping them out as well. Darren, we'll round it out. Daz wants any tips for Wimbledon that you can send his way.
Let me look at it, Daz, and I'll get Niall to send you something on.
Perfect.
We'll look for a bit of value.
Until next time, folks. Cheers. Cheers, bro.
Thanks, brother.